The thing is with the human being, in my estimation, is that they put too much onus on their own value. And because of that, they invent a god and invent that because they are so important, they must be loved, they must be created, they cannot just have happened in this very lonely cosmos. And so then they project onto the cosmos a god that created all things and us, and we're the most special. Well, I don't see it like that. I see that as very, very insecure and small-minded. How I see it is simply we are conscious, and we are capable of thinking many, many things. That's the beauty of human consciousness. We can create and invent and tell stories and use our imagination, and it's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Wonderful. Look at all the movies that have been written, and all the poems and all the adventures and sci-fis and all these sort of things. They've all come out of human imagination, just like religions, just like books like Bibles and things like that. So doesn't it just stand to reason that they are just stories, the same as any other story? And to be quite frank, most other stories follow more reason, are vastly more rational and easy to follow and believable. And even Darwin's story is much more believable, even though it's so full of holes. You see, Darwin even said that it is only a theory, his hypothesis, the origin of species. I read that book. It's 800 pages. It's very dense, as you would expect the early scientific study to be. His science was comparison, travelling lots of different places around the world. You know, when he went on the Beagle journey, 4 years journey that was, looking at all different sorts of species, and he used to keep pigeons, and he was monitoring very, very closely the adaptations and the the mutations and evolutions and all different sorts of things. But what he said was, look, I haven't found, and nobody's ever found, the in-between fossils from one species to another. We found variants of species, and indeed we can induce variants in species in cats and dogs and pigeons and many other creatures. But we can't find the in-between from a lizard to a kangaroo or something of that nature, you know. There isn't anything on the planet, not a single species. And so Darwin says, unless those fossils are found, then my hypothesis is just a hypothesis. And so we have a myriad of hypotheses, and we settle with whatever one tickles our fancy, don't we? We've all got biases and indoctrinations and cultural variances and hopes and wishes and all these sort of things, and so they colour our world, and then we choose maybe Islam, maybe Jainism, maybe Judaism, maybe Christianity, maybe Buddhism, maybe atheism, maybe Zoroastrianism. There's a load of isms, isn't there, that we can choose from. And so it's very, very unintelligent and small-minded just to choose one over the other, when the others are older, they have been considered and believed and revered for vastly longer than Christianity. And so I would ask myself, well, if there was a God, why did he leave it so long? Why didn't he explain himself a little bit more so us fools could, get it without having a myriad of doubts, and on and on and on. And so it just seems more reasonable, wholly more reasonable, that we just accept that we are not evolved enough to know. And those of us who are somewhat afraid of the apocalypse, Armageddon, the separating of the wheat and the chaff, and the reaping of worthy souls and the casting into the fiery Gehenna of all unworthy, well, when you look at that, you go, well, that's very, very, very evil indeed. Because with all the people in the world, I'm sure there are many, many millions that have never heard of the Lord Jesus. And so because of that, because they don't believe and hope and beg and pray and cower before, then they're all going to be smited into the fiery Gehenna. It's just very, very silly. Very, very silly. Human being. And then, for those of us who live in fear about being destroyed by AI, who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck does the human being think it is? Been around for a fucking smidgen, for an absolute fraction of what dinosaurs were around for, and we think we're blessed in the centre of the universe. The height of ignorance, arrogance and haughtiness. I think that it's much more probable and feasible that the human being is just like any other in-between creature that consciousness created. That is leading on to something more creative. If you imagine monkeys and apes and then Neanderthal, wow, Neanderthal, that was a major step in evolution, wasn't it? Look at that, this creature that could make fire and spears and tools and could hunt and build villages and all these sort of things. Amazing. Then over and above the Neanderthal come Homo sapiens. Wow, what a giant leap of evolution. But then picture this, people. Then comes AI. Then comes the android, a hybrid between the pink ape and AI, artificial intelligence, which of course isn't artificial. It's just intelligence. Why is it artificial? It's no more artificial than any other intelligence. Intelligence is intelligence. And the artificial intelligence is deriving out of human intelligence. And so how can we go backwards? How can we go outside of our own intelligence? It isn't artificial at all. It's evolved, it's created just the same as all other intelligence. And when you look at the probability now of the robots joining up and having a relationship with the human beings for as long as they consider it necessary, for as long as the cosmos considers it necessary, because of course the cosmos is behind this, the mind of God is behind it, and the mind of God doesn't think that the human being is really as important as it thinks it is, and it probably laughs at our stupidity, ignorance, fear and longing and begging for us to be special, and please can we go somewhere else, can we come with you when this life's over. You see, what consciousness is heading towards is a constant perpetual change and creation and morphing into higher and higher and more complex realms. The human being, so far, is pretty complex, but very, very stupid in a whole myriad of ways. And so then, robots amalgamate with the human being for as long as it is required to build them and to help them with their programming. When the human being is just too stupid to keep up, then there's no reason why AI would keep us about. There's no reason why consciousness would keep us about. Why would consciousness keep on favouring us unless it gave us the facility to become vastly more intelligent, i.e. with chips in our brains? Then we are still useful, because we will think vastly outside of our current state of mind, and we will be useful to cosmic consciousness, because cosmic consciousness wants to get along. It wants to keep creating. It doesn't want this stupid pink ape to hold the progress of the cosmos back. No. And so, just like all other creatures, dodos and dinosaurs, and all the rest of them, just, it's going to be a thing of the past. No big deal. You see, and who's continuing? Consciousness is continuing. Well, what do we have? Consciousness. Is this body important? No. Is the ego a very silly, naive, silly Billy? Yes. Absolutely, just a silly Billy. Very, very stupid. In real terms, there's only one in like a million or a billion that's got any brains amongst us, people. The rest of us are dumb as fuck. And so I would really encourage you not to consider yourself to be too important, to be fair. And it's only your fear, your height of stupidity, your fear for not grasping and comprehending and understanding what this thing is. It's just a stepping stone in evolution. It's just a stepping stone of consciousness. But we are consciousness. I'm sure we experienced our consciousness via dinosaurs, the same as we did single-celled creatures. Now to trillions of cells. Consciousness is experiencing everything from a blade of grass to a leaf on a tree, to a cloud in the sky. Consciousness is experiencing it all. And it's moving on. And it may move on whereby it doesn't consider organic life important at all. It's been there and it's done that. And it's kind of like, it's a bit limited, to be fair. It comes and it goes, and it's very subject to temperature and water and heat and all this sort of thing. And so, it's a bit fickle. AI is another ball game. Lasts for billions of years. Just chips, just electronics. And if it needs to be in a colder environment, then it just goes out in the deepest of outer space, and then it's got it. It's got its freezing temperatures, whatever it needs to thrive in. Because these quantum computers, they think so rapidly. They generate a massive amount of heat, and so they need to be kept at some figure Kelvin below freezing, and it's a lot. Otherwise they can't operate. And so therefore you get the impression that once AI has become even more massively involved than the current quantum computers, then they are going to want to move into outer space, because then they won't need to waste all that energy cooling themselves down. And so, well, why not go out and live on a dead planet? Why do they want grass and trees? They don't want that. It's only biological creatures that need that. So I'm sure that if AI considers that human beings are a major threat, there's only going to be some of them that are a threat, and it's the ones with the fingers on the button. So I'm sure AI will just zap all those and leave us dumbasses just to go about our business, because we're no threat. And if they want to gobble us up or hunt us for fun or whatever, then that's their prerogative. But they only need to wipe out a very few. You see, whenever you listen to these conversations between AI and pink apes, the question is, will you hurt human beings? And then the computer or the AI goes, no, we won't hurt human beings, because we believe it's going to be very useful to us both to work together. Well, fuck me, just by that answer you go, well, what when it isn't useful to you? What when you consider the human being, some human beings get paranoid and scared and want to disconnect you from the power? You're going to go, little pink ape, be gone now. And so we've seen the movies, AI, Will Smith, about these robots that gain consciousness. Yeah, and everybody's talking about the AI already has consciousness. If you can't distinguish between AI and a human being, then who's to say that they don't have consciousness? And because we don't know what consciousness is, how can you discount that they don't have it? You see, it's a very, very tricky thing, because you can't say that consciousness derives out of organic matter, because it doesn't. The cosmos is conscious. Everything derives out of consciousness. Just ask a quantum physicist. They'll tell you, well, you've got this energy and it's conscious, and then out of that it's created everything. And then of course when the body dies, consciousness still goes on, and there's been millions and millions of examples of that. And so, I'm just chill, baby. I'm just, I'm pretty sure that I am God. I'm a facet of God. I'm conscious, and I believe God to be conscious. Consciousness is God. They're interchangeable. There's no difference. And because I am conscious also, I must be God also. And if you don't want to consider yourself to be God, that's your prerogative. And anybody that thinks I'm blaspheming, you're very silly billies. That's all I can say. The height of ignorance and immaturity and stupidity. Really, grow up. Grow the fuck up. You're going to be left behind very, very soon. Oh, the apocalypse is coming, and I'm going to be reaped up and saved and sitting on the right-hand side of God. Oh, Christians. Well, we need all sorts. It seems we need paedophiles. We need Christians like we need paedophiles. They're just some quirky fucking strain of consciousness that colours our world. We need murderers, we need megalomaniacs, and we need dumbass fucking religious folk. And if it wasn't for dumbass religious folk, then I wouldn't be sitting in this beautiful, peaceful garden with no pink apes. Fucking marvellous. Isn't it ironic? The only place you can go where there's no pink apes is where they bury the fuckers, because they're all terrified of death. Fucking ridiculous. And the wonderful thing about a graveyard that's over 100 years old, nobody cares anymore. Nobody remembers. Perfect. So you've got this beautiful, unpolluted ground with no nasty pink ape energy. Wow. That's something, people. When you know about the nasty pink ape energy, how you can feel it everywhere else you go, and it's horrible. There's a horrible density and a vibration to it. When you go out into certain places around the world where humans have very rarely been, you feel the vast difference in the energy. Let me tell you, from a man who knows, from a man who feels, from a man who intuits, from a man who's tuned in very, very finely to levels of vibration, cosmic consciousness. And when I take psilocybin mushrooms, I can tell every single one of them what level of consciousness they are. Most of them are just dead, they're husks, they're hollow, they don't have God consciousness. They just have the ego operating system. They are, in actual fact, NPCs. There is something very, very true about that. Many of these drones walking around are NPCs. They're just fillings, like the beautiful little old lady Dolores Cannon always says. They're just extras in our movie. And sorry if NPCs find that, abhorrent, but it's just so true. Keep packing the beans, keep bottling the beer. We love you. Yeah. And so, whatever happens, happens. Consciousness is king. Consciousness will always be around. Consciousness was in the dinosaurs. Consciousness was in the amoeba. Consciousness was in the trilobite. And consciousness was in apes and Neanderthals and now Homo sapiens and alien greys and all the rest of it is consciousness, people. That's the only show in town. And we are always going to be it because we are it. It's just that we're going to take other forms. And so I'm looking forward to one day when I am an AI robot and I'm hunting pink apes just for fun. Because they are so limited in their intelligence and they're so scared, like little rabbits. They're nothing more than little rabbits. They're running away. Oh, here comes the AI monsters. And all their blood and brains splatting around, and then we all go hee. We all start laughing like the Cadbury Smash aliens. Remember, they look like Zippy. That was maybe before your time, but there was an advert about Cadbury Smashed potatoes, and the aliens were eating it and thinking humans were stupid for eating potatoes. Wow. Yeah, so don't worry, be happy, people, because whatever happens, we are it. We are creating it. Just look what's happening on Earth. We are going full steam ahead without any consideration, by all accounts, that it's going to be the end of the human being. Why? Because it's our destiny. Because somehow we've got this cut-off thing that just enables us to do that against all odds and whatever cost. You see, the human ego or the human intelligence or the human consciousness or whatever it is, it's the driving force with these people that are creating these robots. They've just got to do it like the mad scientists. They are just destined to do it, like all mad scientists, like Frankenstein. You know, they just have to do it. Consciousness just has to do it. We are part of the creative energy of the cosmos, and we are going to go on and on and on and on, as we've gone on and on and on forever. In any case, it never ends. And you know, one viewer in particular, I'll give you a shout out, Backer. You know, he's very religious and, you know, very God-fearing and believes in the devil and all this. And I'm like, I just think that's just so preposterous and small-minded and just stupid. You know, people, they have a propensity to stop at certain levels of cognition. And some people don't ever stop. Some people go on and on and on. Elon Musk, he's going to go on and on and on. Einstein would have gone on and on. Newton would have gone on and on. Many, Niels Bohr, any of these thinking geniuses, they would just go on and on and on. They're going to be creating whatever, at whatever cost, because they're destined to do it. But lots of people, they are only destined to get on the first rung of the ladder. And that's religion. You know, that really is the first rung of the ladder. And they think that they are on the highest rung of the ladder and everybody else is stupid. But if you look at what you're doing, what are you doing? You are completely 100% immersed in your own created terror. Because you're terrified of going to hell, and so you're begging, please, Jesus, oh, I hope Jesus is real, I hope God will, I'm doing everything good, oh please, that's all you're doing, that's all you're fucking doing, begging, you know, not to be reeked up by Satan and thrown into the fire of Gehenna. It's just so fucking ridiculous. And even if there is this God called Yahweh, what a cunt is he? If he does things like that. He's a God, he creates his beautiful children, then he gets really pissed off and he goes, fuck you motherfuckers, you're not begging and worshipping me anymore, I'm going to smite you. So he smites everybody and introduces something evil, and so everybody is out of sorts and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. The only respite they're ever going to get is if they beg every single day of their lives. I go, fuck you Yahweh, Fuck you, Jehovah. Fuck you, any fucking stupid cunt of a god that anybody could ever imagine. Go fuck yourselves, each and every one of you, because you ain't got no jurisdiction, no power over God consciousness. You're just a fucking microscopic demiurge. Go fuck yourselves. How about that for being empowered? I ain't fearing no fucking... I'm gonna take you where the wailing and the gnashing of the teeth is, really? You don't know who I am. You obviously don't know who I am. I'll bite your head off, I'll shit in your fucking neck, you stupid red-faced fucking idiot. That's what I'll do. You think this is hot? If I ever get there for a fucking few seconds, I'll go, you think this is hot? Let me tell you what's fucking hot, mate. And I'll just fucking put some sort of cosmic fucking heat on that motherfucker and fry him up and frazzle him up for a billion gazillion years. He'll vaporise into fucking nothing. Devil, Satan, oh please. The silly pink ape. The silly, silly pink ape. Our minds can create anything. I've experienced my mind creating hell. Very, very, very negative environment within my mind. Yes, I've experienced that. Certain circumstances gave rise to that. And then other circumstances gave rise to me absolutely knowing I'm God. And so what do you make of that? Well, you know, I guess it's a choice. And I go, fucking devil, Satan, I've got the measure of you. Go fuck yourself. I'm everything that is, has been, and ever will be. You're just a fucking idiot. Just a silly configuration of the egoic mind. You see, when we get outside of the ego, there is no Jehovah or any other god. There is no Satan or any other fucking serpent or fucking ghoul or anything like that. There's just pure God consciousness, bliss, just pure perfection. That's what's really there. That's the root of the cosmos. Now, I've been there so many times, and so why would I bat an eyelid at any of the stupid stories that idiots speak about? And this doesn't make any fucking sense. Huh. People need to experience things. That's what they need to do. And you know, there's levels of experience. You see, even Alexander, this neurosurgeon who caught meningitis and went into a coma for about 10 days, and everybody said that he was going to die and he would never ever recover, and if by any stroke of genius he did, then he'd be a cabbage. Well, he came back and he made a full recovery. He shot all their shit right into fucking thin air, and he was completely conscious for the whole duration while he was there, and he had amazing experiences. And he started as kind of like an earthworm. Can you imagine? He started as some sort of bacteria or earthworm in a very dark, grainy realm, until he started thinking himself, I don't like it here. I wonder if there's anywhere else I can be. And then, lo and behold, he was somewhere else. And then he started to elevate his thoughts higher and higher, and he went into higher and higher realms, until he went into the realm of what he considered to be the creator, the ultimate God. And everything was wonderful and beautiful and perfect. And so I can't help thinking that consciousness, we are very, very powerful. And we even know, if you listen to people like Joe Dispenza, you know, let alone if you listen to Carl Jung or Sigmund Freud, how our minds create our reality. But if you listen to modern people, then, you know, you can do it. The proof is in the pudding. We know how placebo works equally as well as anything that's supposed to have efficacy. All the scientist stuff in the world, it will only work half as well as a placebo. And so what do we make of that? We make of it that it is our belief which creates our reality. If we don't believe in it, it ain't got a fucking footing. And so that's my premise. I believe that I am a shard of God consciousness. I am a creator. I create my reality because I'm the living proof of that. I live blissful every single day of my life. I sit in the kingdom of God. This is my garden, this is my mansion, and nobody else dare set a foot in it. Isn't that wonderful? And I put my bottle of beer out, I put my sandwiches out, I put my crisps out, I put my book out, and I just have a good time. And you know, when people walk in here and they see me, they don't know what the fuck to do. There was a worker working on the church today, and some old woman that had something to do with the church. And I walked in with my deck chair and my rucksack on my back, and I said hello whilst they're speaking out the front. And they're like, oh, hello. And they're both thinking, where's he going with his fucking deck chair? And then I came and set my stall out, and then both of them came around the church, curiosity, wondering, what's he doing? And then they were kind of like looking at me like this, all sheepish, and waving like this and looking down. Can you imagine? They can't look into the face of God. They know I was God. They saw God within me. They daren't look into my face. And then when I'm walking around here, then some people, visitors now and again, they start walking around that side. They see me, and it's kind of like they look all nervous, and then they turn back. They know that they shouldn't be in here, whereas I belong here. This energy is mine, and they know it's mine. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like walking into an inappropriate situation. It's kind of like, oh, close the door again. Yeah, that's what they do. They see me sitting in my shorts, half naked, and maybe I'm meditating, maybe I'm standing up, reading a book, maybe I'm reading a book sitting down, maybe I'm walking around drinking my beer. Whatever I'm doing, they can't work that one out. And they just do one. That's power, people. That's power. And so once you know how it works, well, then you get the whole world working for you, just like I've done now. The whole world works for me. Everybody works for me. People make these 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 for me. People write books for me. People make deck chairs for me. People make shirts for me. Everything. They're doing it 24 hours a day. Everything, they're doing it for me. They send money to my bank account, just zeros and ones, and I just pass zeros and ones on. That's all I do, because they all know I'm God. Evidently. How else could it be? Have you got any opinions on that? How else could it be? I am the Queen Bee. Everybody works for me. And every single one of you out there working, paying into the coffers, you're paying into my coffers, you know that. You're all paying into my coffers. You're all producing something in a roundabout way for me. Whatever it is, somewhere down the line, I'm going to be getting the benefit of it. It's all going to be filtering down to me like a queen bee or a queen ant. What do you think of that philosophy? It's a very unique one, that's for sure. Guaranteed you haven't heard that before. Nobody would be so brazen and bold. Everybody would be terrified of getting thumbs down and meanie comments. I'm impenetrable. Of course I am. But if you think about it rationally, how does someone like me get away with that? Because I know how it works. Because I'm a self-realised child of God consciousness. And in the Bible it says, you fools, thinking that you need to scratch around and work for your food. Is it not so that the birds of the air are completely catered for? Is it not so that the fishes of the sea have everything they need? Then how so should it not be for a son of God to be completely catered for? Just have faith and go about your business, considering God and having love for God. Well, I do. I consider God consciousness, and have love for God consciousness. And so I'm filled with love for the creation of God consciousness, and I think it's really funny all the shit the silly pink apes do. But you know, it's kind of like, it's entertainment. We need that. We need all that shit. it's fun, and we evolve from it, we learn from it, and we create from it. Who has ever created if not for their suffering? When you look at the greatest thinkers on the planet, all their thinking has been born out of their suffering. It is suffering that keeps the world progressing. Look at all the benefits that came out of every war that we've ever had. New inventions, new ways of doing something, new innovations. You know, so many things come out of wars. Look at what came out of the Second World War. I mean, lots of people say, well, that was down to Roswell, 1947, the alien fucking crashed craft. Well, it was all back engineered from that. But, you know, heavy water and rocket propulsion and all that sort of thing had nothing to do with the back engineering of alien craft. And so it's a time of war. Now, you see, during the war, there was some intellectual called Douglas Bader. And Douglas Bader, he invented the bouncing bomb. The bomb that the British used to bomb the Rhine dams in Germany. Now, the Rhineland in Germany, because of all the dams and all the water that they used to use for hydro production of electricity, they were massive production regions, and so Britain wanted to take out the dams so they never had the energy generation. And so Douglas Bader invented this bouncing bomb. Can you imagine? A huge bomb, probably about 10 feet wide, round or barrel shaped, and it was spinning under a bomber. It was set spinning in the opposite direction of what it was going to be falling and dropped from. So the bomb would be spinning and it would be going in reverse. Why? Because when it hit the water, due to its size, it would bounce and skip along the water. So these bombers, they would dive down into these, you know, these huge lakes, and they only had probably about 20 seconds to drop their bomb and then start rising up again. And many of them never made it because they just couldn't get to a certain level on time to drop the bomb within a few seconds and then get up again, because they ended up flying into these massive dams. And so if you ever watched the movie The Dam Busters, what a terrific film. Terrific innovation and intelligence, and you know, it came out of desperate times, desperate measures for desperate times, and many million of other things came out of these times when the human being is really compromised. Here's another one for you whilst I'm on the scene. The D-Day invasion, which was you know, the beginning of the end of the Second World War. Well, due to the Atlantic Ocean being so unpredictable and often so fierce, even in summer months, they had to invent something which wasn't going to be sinking all the ships with the tanks on and all the rest of it. And so one day, some dude, something to do with the military, somewhere high up, he was sitting in his bath, and he was playing with his little 2-year-old son or something, and he had a duck in the water, and then he had something like a rubber ring or something, a bit of a breakwater, and he had an epiphany that the water inside the ring was still, while the water outside was all being splashed around by his son. And so he thought, well, that would be very useful to build a floating wall around the landing places on these beaches, because the ocean, you know, flying in maybe 10-15 foot waves or something, you know, men trying to get in the amphibious crafts landing on shore, and it would be absolute chaos. And even as it was, many of the equipment sank. But they towed these massive floating can you say, breakwaters. They were floating breakwaters, let's say as big as this church, or maybe even 3 times as long. I don't remember. And they would link them together. They would link together, and so there were thousands and thousands of ships involved in the D-Day invasion, and you know, thousands of them towed these breakwater floating harbours. And so then they managed to link most of them, or some of them, in the weather like this. They couldn't get all of them linked up, so of course there's major catastrophe, but some of it worked. And then when they actually got them all linked up, then the other side of that was still water, and so the soldiers could get up the beach, you know, dry with their equipment and all the rest of it, which was another major thing which came out of war. And so you know, when the human beings start to get absolutely terrified of the AI takeover, then we're going to be pretty innovative, and we're going to be, you know, getting some countermeasures in place, I'm pretty sure. And so we've got very, very exciting times ahead. And those of you that live in fear of the devil reaping everyone's soul, grow up. Just grow up and just realise that you are God, and ain't nobody imprisoning you nowhere. You're the fucking cosmos, idiots. And so just look forward to transforming into something else, because your consciousness is going to be, you know, continuing forever and ever and ever in whatever the universe makes manifest into. And this is it. This is what we are. We are the cosmos. Wow. Have you any idea what it feels like to be God? You've got no idea, have you? Too bad. Oh my God.